everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do the end of the year book tag created by 𝕊𝕆ℙ𝕀𝔸𝕃. I've never done this book tag before on my channel, even though I've been on YouTube for about 5 years now. I think I even filmed it a couple of times, but I was always too late to post it, so you've never seen it. So the first question is, are there any books that you started this year that you need to finish? Yes, actually 2 books. The first one is 𝕊𝕆ℙ𝕀𝔸𝕃 and the second one is We Set the Dark on Fire. So the first one is very obvious, it's a pretty hard book. The Raven Cycle is my favorite series. This is a spin-off series from this original series and it's following 𝕊𝕊𝕙𝕃, whom I love very much. He is my second favorite character in the series, and his brothers and a bunch of new characters. I am 5 chapters in. I'm currently filming a vlog about this book and it's going to come out soon, hopefully. I have a few days off from work. Well, I've quit it and I'm starting a different job, so I have some days free and I can finish reading this book. I'm also listening to We Set the Dark on Fire as an audiobook. I've been hesitating about it. I'm not a huge fan of dystopia, and it's sort of dystopian. People compare it to The Handmaid's Tale, and even though I've never read any of her books, I feel like they must be so gruesome and it's not something I'm interested in at the moment, at least not in realistic or sci-fi fiction, because dystopian is a part of the sci-fi genre. And I think that so far the story seems very interesting because we don't have to suffer through these girls being in the school that teaches them to be decent, good wives. Basically the premise of this book is that every elite man in this kingdom, country, place, I don't remember, deserves to have 2 wives. One of them is the wife that's going to bear his children because she's beautiful, and the other wife is the smart one that is going to keep his house. That's an interesting premise, you can do a lot with it, but there's a twist also that these 2 girls that are assigned to the same man are going to fall in love with each other. So far they kinda hate each other, which is also appealing. I don't know what to think about it yet. I don't think it's going to be my favorite book, but I'm giving it a chance. The second question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Not really. I'm not much of a seasonal reader. I'm much more of a mood reader. I don't do well with TBRs. I've been trying that before and it never worked out in my favor. I'm always kind of picking books up on a whim. I do have certain genres that I gravitate towards when it's cold outside. It's not particularly the matter of the season though, because it's cold outside very often here. And in this month I usually prefer to read something cozy. So some contemporaries that are very light-hearted, that are focused on found family or family in general, on friendships. Historical fiction because it usually has large descriptions and I love to read descriptions when I have the time. Historical romances are a big thing for me right now. I always loved them, but I just found Cat Sebastian and I'm obsessed with her work. I've read all of her historical romances and one FF historical romance that she wrote, so I'm waiting for the next one in the series that is coming out in 2020. I also want to read TJ Klune because of that, because I believe he writes historical romance as well. Still out to find more FF historical romance. You know I love it. I even posted a video recently about that. Well, they were not all romances, but they were all historical fiction books. I also tend to read a lot of fantasy, but I definitely don't have a specific book that I constantly pick up at the end of every fall to transition into winter. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? Thankfully, no. It's currently the 21st of November and not a lot of books are coming out in December in general, so I'm very grateful for that because I have so many books I have to catch up on. 2019 gave us a lot of fantastic books. A lot of books I'm very hyped about. I bought them, but I never had an opportunity to crack them open because my year was a total mess. I had so many plans and I would say that it was a very difficult, very transitional year. So hopefully 2020 is going to be much better. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? It's a very hard question, because I have to narrow down all the books that I want to read to 3 books, I will say that I have to read Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, otherwise someone is going to spoil it for me. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, because I believe that people who picked it up and didn't like it are wrong. They shouldn't have picked it up in the first place if they don't like dark academia or Donna Tartt's books, because I get the vibe that it's a very Donna Tartt's fan club book. I also really want to pick up The Guinea's Deception by Kirsten White, because Kirsten White is one of my favorite authors and I know that she did well with the story. I feel it. And I also need to pick up Mockingjay by Susan Collins. I know it's not a new release at all, but I'm doing this project, well, I started doing this project where I read backlist books. I think they don't get a lot of hype, well, not the Hunger Games in particular, but I've never read it, so I wanted to read it. And I want to know what people are talking about when they're talking about these backlist titles, because I joined BookTube a bit later, not when it started, and people were hyped about a lot of different series and they still remember and quote them right now, so I want to be in the loop. If you have any suggestions for series that I need to pick up as the part of this project, tell me in the comments down below. I'm thinking the old Libra Braid books and maybe the Poison Study series. If you have any suggestions, just leave them in the comments.
12 seconds later.
I had to change my location because the sound was killing me. So the 5th question is there a book you think would still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Yes, there are 2 books that I have some concerns about. I am very excited for them, but I also think that I might not like them. One of them is Wilder Girls, and one of them is Flyers War. So with Wilder Girls, I believe there could be 2 options. I might be very lukewarm about it, or I might love it. It is very much depending on how good the writing is going to be, and if there is going to be some hook that I'm going to be invested in. So people say that it's very descriptive, the language is very pretty, and the whole plot or something about the plot is very interesting, but the characters are very blunt. And I can live with it as long as there is some sort of a mystery and something I could get behind. I love a character-driven story, but I can deal with the story that has something else in it. Not a fast-paced plot, but some sort of a shocking mystery. I'm very into that. The second book, Flyers War, is a very promising book. It's a fantasy about 2 girls that are falling in love. One of them is from high society, the other one wants to kill her, I believe. And this society has some sci-fi elements because I believe one of them is a cyborg or robot or something like that. And that is the part that concerns me. I'm not very much into cyborg love stories or fantasy being mixed in with sci-fi or technology. Not my thing at all. So I might actually not like it, or I might love it because it's hate to love, so we don't know yet, but I'm very excited for both of this. Have you already started making reading plans for 2020? Yes, and there are so many exciting books, queer books in particular, that are coming out. I'm preparing a list and I'm going to make a separate video about this. Hopefully it's not going to be too long, but I believe a lot of people love anticipated releases videos, so maybe a long video won't be a problem. I will try to cut it down to 30 minutes though. Tell me if you mind a 30+ minutes video about anticipated releases and how you like the information to be presented to you, because I don't really know. I can separate them by genres, I can separate them by age range, I can separate them by them being standalones and part of series. Just tell me what you like. This is the end of the tag. I believe a lot of people are going to do it, so I'm not going to tag anyone. I implore you to tell me about your reading plans for the end of the year, and I will see you soon with another video. But until then,